Welcome to the Foothills, a Colorado lifestyle and real estate podcast featuring mountain home real estate broker Robert Martin, who has over 25 years of experience assisting clients reach their goals and move forward. Tune in each week for a dynamic conversation with experts, Colorado adventurers, and residents that explores the ins, outs, and specific nuances of buying the perfect mountain home or selling your dream home in Evergreen, Conifer, Bailey, and surrounding areas to catch a glimpse into the Colorado lifestyle that's a part of you.
Welcome to the podcast. Our guest today is Todd Pruitt with Cherry Creek Mortgage. Todd, how are you doing today?
I'm doing really good, Robert. Thanks for having me.
Oh, you bet. It's great to see you and great to have you on today. Tell me a little bit about yourself and your background.
Well, I live in Denver currently. I was born in 1969 in Henderson, Kentucky. My parents packed my sister and I up in 1978 and moved to Evergreen, Colorado. So went to Wilmot, Evergreen Middle School, graduated from Evergreen High School in 87. I have an amazing wife, Ali. We've been married since 95, so I guess pushing 27 years here.
Awesome.
Got two great kids. I guess they're not kids really. My daughter's 25, graduated from college, and has her big girl job and kind of
young adults.
My son is 21 and still in college.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. What was it like, Todd? You mentioned growing up in Evergreen. What was that like?
It was great. I mean, the more I look back on it, it shows that he was even better than what I realized growing up in Evergreen. Obviously, Evergreen has changed a ton since the late 70s, obviously, and still is. But it was a lot of fun. I mean, it was interesting just because it's different than being in Denver, where we're all close in the same town, but we're really kind of spread out. So but it was great. You probably got to spend more time with friends in chunks than just walking down the street and then coming back for lunch or, whatever it might be, for a whole weekend, you might be at somebody's house, so it was great. It was great. And Denver's close enough that when people started driving, you could get down the hill, but it was fantastic. I mean, obviously you don't really realize how beautiful the views are when you're a kid growing up there, but pretty special place to grow up for sure.
Yeah, you don't realize that because it is what it is. You have nothing else to compare it to.
Right.
But I hear it a lot, Todd, from people that live up here in the Foothill community. It's just so beautiful. There's a lot of serenity, and just to live amongst it helps their peace of mind on a daily basis. So at least now you have something to compare it to, and what a wonderful place to start, no doubt.
Absolutely.
You have an interesting story, as your parents were in the mortgage business. Is that why you started in the mortgage industry, and how long have you been a mortgage broker?
Well, yeah, probably obviously that was a piece of it. It was 1990, late 1990, when my dad said, what are you going to do with that finance degree? Because I was actually living at home at that time and going to school at Metro State downtown. And so I kind of said, I'm not really sure. I'm bartending at night, going to school. I didn't really know. So he said, why don't you, we're pretty busy. Why don't you start hanging out with us and maybe learn the business? You can help us. Obviously, with the technology wasn't there back then. So, he kind of used me as a runner a little bit too. But it was kind of fun to learn the industry, sit with him with clients while I was on the phone with clients. And, I really went from thinking, I was always really good with numbers. I loved houses, architecture. So actually, when I went to college, I thought I was going to be an architect. But I kind of figured that I liked people more as well. So it kind of fit into what I was changing, because I went from an architect my freshman year to just, all right, I'm just going to do finance. So that's kind of what I did. So it was just, the numbers, the people always leads to a house, the American dream. It was just kind of cool. So I kind of did that for a year and a half. And when I graduated from college in 1992, I started with Cherry Creek Mortgage April 1st. I actually graduated like 3 weeks after I went to work for Cherry Creek Mortgage.
Wow. That's about when I moved to the area, 1992, or actually 94 is when we moved to the area. And that's when I started selling real estate. So I remember us kind of starting at the same time
Yeah. So
and getting to
yeah,
know each other. And
you got 28 years.
yeah, it's crazy,
That's
isn't it?
awesome. That's
Golly.
awesome.
Yeah, I remember some of the transactions we did back in the day, and it was always a pleasure to work with you. And so, Todd, if we're moving forward, I know the things are changing quite a bit as the market's not static. But to back up a bit, what are the best steps and ways to apply for a mortgage in general? And then we can get more into what's going on currently in the market.
You know, I always think the real estate cycle is, there's some maybe concern or anxiety along with the financing and everything else. But, truly it's a fun process. And it's, again, leading, like I mentioned, to the American dream of home ownership, if it's your first home or your 10th. And I really think it's important to, just like finding a realtor, finding some kind of referral for a lender, if it's one, if it's three, and talk to all of them. It's really somebody you're going to spend some time with, somebody you're really going to want to trust and listen to and absorb everything. They're going to be your advisor. I really see myself as everybody has their asset manager. I really see myself as a debt manager, especially being at this long. You really think that through different times, you're taking that first mortgage to the second one, and you're managing their debt along the way. So it's really rates are always important, costs are important, but it really is important to feel comfortable with that lender you're choosing. Because you're going to spend a lot of time with them, and you really need to lean on them for advice in your situation for your short and long-term goals.
It is important, Todd, and it's someone with your tenure in the business. It's not all about rate. There's a lot that goes into it, and someone that can kind of see the picture from 35,000 feet gives a really good perspective on what might be the best avenue or option for someone when it comes to applying for a mortgage. And what are some of those some unique programs available for financing a home that home buyers may not be aware of currently?
I would probably say that there's still, it's been a while, but since the meltdown in 8, 9, 10, 11, those, a lot of programs went away because there was a lot, there was too many programs that weren't good programs, didn't have the ability to repay piece attached to it. So it got pretty generic for a while. So there's definitely programs coming back, but really they do all have an ability to repay piece that they didn't there for a while. So, programs that are out there now, I mean, obviously we've seen, a pretty healthy increase in rates this first 5.5 months of the year, but there's lots of ways like, 2-1 buy downs are coming back. ARMs are starting to have a little more appetite to help, keep those payments in that comfort level or keep you in that range, that sales price range where you're going. But even the 2-1 buy downs and the ARMs, they're set up these days to where they are almost all principal and interest payments. They're not going to get you in trouble like some of those early 2000 programs were not designed to do, but that was really the outcome where, you could really qualify and be comfortable the first 2 years, but then you get in a situation where you're not anymore. So those programs are gone and not here anymore. So it's really going to help the stability and strength of our real estate market too.
And in those ways, Todd, as far as what's going on currently in our economic climate, those programs available, is there anything else that, I see some brokers offering like a $5,000 credit towards buying down interest rates to help alleviate maybe some pressure with people that are close to qualifying, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Anything else that you're seeing out there?
Those are good things. The lender paid to help. You're always looking at rate compared to costs, right? And we're also seeing, with a little bit of the softening in the last, month or two, we're also seeing some seller paid, where price minus whatever they're asking, we're starting to see some of that, which we really have not seen in the last couple of years, but it's making some sense. And we do believe that, this is temporary. We're not sure how long this is going to last. I think we're a little elevated. We might be a little higher interest rate wise, but we're going to come back. We probably will not be back in the 2s and low 3s like we were in 20 and 21. but who knows what the new bottom or low will be, but it'll be lower than this. It will be lower than this. So there's other programs too. I mean, like a lot of people think that still from back then that you have to have a 20% down payment. You really don't. I mean, there's a lot of down payment assistance programs in Colorado. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac allow a 3% down payment program. FHA, the government loan, is still around with a 3.5% down payment. So a lot of loans that can help in cash to close or initial investment into that home.
So when you pull out your crystal ball, of course, I won't hold you to it, but what do you foresee? What's the next 12 to 24 months look like? It sounds as if you feel rates will possibly maybe another adjustment or two, and then maybe trickle down, or I guess we'll have to see kind of how things go.
Yeah, I think we might not have seen the top yet. We have had a nice little run here the last week or so that has brought rates down a little bit. But I think, the R word, the recession word, is flying around. Some people think we're in it. Some people, some of the Fed members are still saying, no, we're not, and they don't even see it coming. But that's pretty normal.
Open your eyes.
So, I think we could see another nice dip. Again, I don't think it's going to be 2s, low 3s, but, if we settle, and I'm totally guessing on, 4.5, maybe as a new kind of norm, but I think we will see a dip in the next 9 to 24 months.
Yeah. And we have to remember too, and not that a lot of people remember that, but there's certainly some that remember the 80s and the rates back then. Historically, rates are still very, very strong, but coming off of almost free money, not quite, of course, but, to the high 2s to low 3s. I mean, that's incredible as far as, getting money at that price. So what is the biggest mistake, Todd, you see that people make when applying for a mortgage?
I'm going to go back to picking your right professionals around it, picking the right realtor, picking the right lender, the ones you really trust and feel comfortable with. I mean, it needs to almost be a relationship because, like I said, you're going to be spending a lot of phone conversations and Zoom calls and in-persons or whatever with these professionals, and lean on them, trust them. And, that's the biggest piece, not just, again, like you said, chasing the lowest rate, or an online lender. I love just the point that, especially being an Evergreen, right? I mean, you're gonna run into somebody in the grocery store. I do that. Sure. I live in Denver now, but my in-laws and I've still got family in Evergreen. So that community is smaller, but even in Denver, I run into people, and it's that's really cool. Sometimes I've got to, hopefully they understand that they're seeing my picture all the time in marketing and things like that, and I don't get to see their picture all the time. So I sometimes have to, say, excuse me, you have to remind me who you are, kind of thing. But it's cool that then there's a relationship. So I think if you have that, that would be a number one mistake, is don't just go with somebody for, that there is no relationship with. And also, don't get over your head. I mean, that's a big thing. I mean, people moving to Evergreen. I mean, there's a lot to think about, with Evergreen. Do you have the right vehicles? Insurance is going to be different. And insurance is just a whole nother piece, talking about another trusted advisor, if you will. I mean, being, most of Evergreen's volunteer fire departments. So, most insurance companies see that as, high risk. They stick you in the highest category, where, those Evergreen insurance agents, they know the situation and they can, get you into the best programs and so forth. So, mountain buying is definitely different. You got well and septics, I mean, there's just all those things to think about.
Yeah, that's a good point, Todd. From the beginning, maybe interview some folks and get a good sense for them. Make sure that you're kind of in sync with them and the way they see, the process. That's real important. What are the advantages, Todd, to getting a mortgage instead of paying with cash?
Well, that's always a fun topic, and that's where the numbers come in. And then again, it's going to take more than just me. I'm going to show you what the loan options look like, from your cash investment to your monthly payment. And then you're going to get with your tax accountant or your financial planner to talk about the money you would not use, the portion of the loan, for example, and what are you going to go do with that? What's that going to look like in your investment for retirement and so forth? So, or to go buy an investment property with that other cash, or, there's all kinds of options. And it just comes down to, the client's risk tolerance, comfort level, what their dreams are, what their goals are. And, so it's just looking at all the options to see what best fits with their situation.
And that's where someone like you who's got some good amount of experience and tenure in the business, you can see things differently possibly and have different perspectives and ideas for someone and what to do in the overall picture of things. You mentioned earlier, Todd, and you certainly have a good feel for the Foothill market. So if somebody came to you and said they were considering purchasing a home in the Foothills, what advice would you give them as far as due diligence and that sort of thing?
Well, I'm going to start with some of the the differences between a city house and a mountain house, and we're going to talk about some of those differences. But then I'm going to also say, lean on your realtor. Talk to them about, it's realtors, that live in the mountains, I think are going to know the mountain market the best. When it comes to the actual collateral, that piece of property that they're actually buying, and again, your insurance agent is going to explain the differences, between policies, for a mountain property versus a city property. So again, if you have friends that live up there or coworkers or whatever, there's usually some tie. It's not, I could say maybe it is just Evergreen Lake and I want to be in Evergreen. They go up there in the summer or to skate in the winter and they fall in love with the town, like my parents did a long time ago. But to talk to a lot of people, about living up there and the real, if you're going to be commuting to Denver, people are going to talk about, the 285 and the I-70, commute into town and how that can be a challenge at times, during the winter months and so forth. I think it's just talking to as many people as possible, not just having that picture of that house and that view and those pine trees and the elk and everything else in your yard and what flowers to grow that the elk don't like and all those kinds of things.
Well, it's all important. You want to get those deer resistant one and elk resistant ones, and also looking at a house. I say to buyers at times that the best time to look at a home is in the throes of a snowstorm. You get to see the worst of the worst, see what the driveway's like. Do you have southern exposure? Wells and septics, fire mitigation. There is a lot of things that come into play, and it's just different, like you said. And that's great advice to talk to people and get a sense for things. And there are so many beautiful, wonderful attributes to living here, but the due diligence is important too, because you want to make sure you put your best foot forward before you actually start living here. So, what are some of your favorite things, Todd, that you like to participate in outdoor in Colorado?
Well, I skied a lot growing up. Since the kids are off to college, we have not skied as much the last few years, but I fly fish a lot. I mountain bike very little anymore, but I play a lot of golf. So it's probably golf and fly fishing are my two big outdoor activities. A little bit of hiking, there's so many things to do outside. I will say my son is still playing college baseball, so I'm kind of following him around, but yeah, just being outside in Colorado. So fly fishing and golf, I guess, are the two biggies for me.
That's where you're at now in Florida, watching baseball.
I am.
That's awesome. And, skiing again, Todd, is something you can take up later, as far as when things slow down for you, you can ski during the week, beat the crowds, have a great time. So
absolutely. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too. I kind of feel that same way about skiing, but is there anything else you'd like to share that I didn't ask you on the podcast today?
I'm going to go back to, you obviously have your dreams of living in this beautiful mountain house or wherever you're buying, but, enjoy the process of it. And again, the relationships you'll make through that, should continue because it's always going to be a piece of that financial pie. And real estate is it's so important for all of us. We talk about, or we hear about right times to buy, wrong times to buy. Real estate is always going up. The 60-year average is like 4.6%. appreciation in a year. And that's, so if you're looking at a long-term property, there's never a bad time to buy, because it's going to be a great investment, especially when you compare it to rental, and we're, yes, we're seeing a lot of appreciation. I mean, 18% whatever the first quarter this year. I mean, that's a little ridiculous and not sustainable at all. So these increasing rates are, I think, helping that. Just to slow it down a little bit, but it's not doom and gloom either, like some of the media wants to make us think. It's always a good buy. I mean, rental rates are 14% up from last year, and 1.1% May over April. I mean, they're still going up, and they're going to continue to go up as well. So get in the market as soon as you can and enjoy the home, enjoy home ownership, and everything that goes along with it.
Yeah, I agree. Real estate over the long term is a great investment. And, things are changing now. The market's not static. And whatever time it is the perfect time. I mean, you step in and you make the best of your situation. Sometimes life doesn't give you a lot of choices. And in the long term, you're going to be fine. So I appreciate your time. Thank you, Todd, for coming by today. And I just wanted to say, if there's where can people go to find out more about you and learn more about you and what you do?
Well, Cherry Creek Mortgage, they've been around since 1987. I've been with them since 1992. My website, toddpruitt.com. Pretty simple there. It's technology these days is pretty simple. It's good, but the piece I don't like about it is, I might not have as much face-to-face time with my clients as we used to, but it's still great. So yeah, simple. The process really is simple and fun. And like I said, enjoy it.
Thank you very much, Todd. Really appreciate your time today. Enjoy the baseball.
Thank you, Robert. These are really cool. You've had some great ones on here, so I'll continue to listen to more.
That's great.
To the Foothills, a Colorado lifestyle and real estate podcast. On the podcast, I interview real estate experts, Colorado adventurers, and residents who enjoy the serenity and lifestyle of living in our mountain communities. Tune in each week for a conversation that explores the ins and outs of buying the perfect mountain home or selling your dream home, and catch a glimpse into the Colorado lifestyle that's a part of you.